Welcome to the DL. This is the show where we talk about everything in the truck and equipment repair industry. It's my job to help inform and educate you on ways to help your business. We talk with technicians, business owners, associations, industry experts, manufacturers, and even a few you wouldn't think traditionally apply to your business. Welcome to yet another episode of the DL. I am your host, Tyler Robertson, the CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. This is the show I talk about my two greatest passions, entrepreneurship and everything to do with truck repair. So sometimes we get those melded together, but this one definitely is going to be talking a lot about diagnostics. And for the first time ever, I have a repeat guest on the show. So I got Dario here today. So first of all, Dario, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Tyler. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Well, and I think we were just talking. You were like the first recorded episode that we did on the DL, and that was. It feels like a long time ago. Maybe that's because of COVID and everything that happened. I don't know, but it feels like forever ago in one moment, and like just like yesterday in the next.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like 10 years ago, but it was like, I don't know, 18 months ago, something like that. Episode 1, I was there with you guys, so it's nice to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, and we were, we always got to talk about COVID a little bit. We were talking before the air. You kind of you were back over in Italy, and everyone's going to learn about TEXA being an Italian company here. But you were in Italy and kind of got stuck over there for a little bit. So it's good to get you back. And how long did you end up getting? How long did your vacation get extended over in Italy while you were there?
In the end, like over a month. So I was planning on staying there 2 weeks, and then of course it's a pain to be stuck over there for a month, right? I mean, good food, good everything. So yeah, it was terrible.
Well, I think if people don't know who TEXA is, I think it'd be great to just kind of give a brief little overview or a brief little history and just explain who is TEXA and what do you guys do?
Sure. So like we just said, TEXA is an Italian company, multinational company. So we have branches in 9 different countries right now, with TEXA USA being the youngest. So TEXA works on many different things. So we do equipment for shops in general. The way the company started is actually a very interesting story. So the 2 original founders, they were running a car dealership back in the 80s. And basically they saw the very first cars with electronic control units, with ECUs. So they witnessed the switch from carburetors to ECUs. So being 2 very smart guys, they understood there was some potential with all of that. So they started playing around with ECUs. They came up with some basic code readers, and then when they realized that there was real potential, they founded TEXA in 1992. So TEXA is a relatively young company, not even 30 years old. But if we think about this industry, about diagnostics, it's one of the very first companies in the world, because that's when this evolution happened, right? So they started with car diagnostics, and then they branched out to many different things. So trucks, off-highway, bike, marine, but also AC recovery machines, telematics, gas analyzers, scopes, many different things. Here in the US, we just started in 2012 with diagnostics, with our core business, what we do best, honestly. So yes, TEXA USA is the youngest TEXA branch, and we started with diagnostics, and now we are also branching out to AC recovery machines, and we have few things coming. So this is, in a nutshell, TEXA.
So I know over in Europe, where you're located, you guys do have like the AC refrigerant machines and some other timing tools and stuff, and an oscilloscope. Is there any plans to bring any of that stuff over to the US, or is it still kind of a future thing?
Oh yes, absolutely. Actually, the AC recovery machines are already here. So we have the Comfort 750, which is a fully automatic AC recovery machine that works on the 134A refrigerant. so the old gas, as they call it. And next year, we're going to have a machine that works on the YF gas and also a dual gas machine, so a machine that can work on both the 134A gas and also the YF gas. So the AC is here. And then another big news is that we also implemented and developed a little bit more our car software. I don't know if we're going to talk about that later on, but that's a big deal for us.
Well, and let's just break it down for everyone a little bit here. So I know we're on YouTube, we're also on podcasts and all those things. And if there's something Italians are really known for, it's making very high quality luxury goods. And I can definitely say the box that you guys have is definitely right in line with all of that. And I remember when I first set eyes on this, I didn't quite grasp everything it could do, because I'm used to just in the truck world where we have one box and it hooks up to a commercial truck and it kind of works with the OEM software. But then I come to find out, oh, this one box and one piece of software works with automotive, it works with commercial truck, it works with agriculture, it works with construction, it works with marine, it works with power sports, motorcycles, jet skis, boats. So it's really amazing that all those different technologies across all that spectrum is able to get sucked down into one box and one piece of software essentially, which makes it great and easy for everyone to use. And I know this box I'm holding in my hands, and I'll describe it for the audience. It's probably, I don't know, 9 inches or so, box shaped. It's got this rubber coating on it. It's beautiful. It works great. And, after we've sold tens of thousands of these, essentially, the warranty return rate is like basically zero. So it's a high quality product. But you guys do have a new box coming out as well. So you've kind of re-upped yourself on a product that really has been a great product in the marketplace. Can you, and I know hopefully during the video here we'll be showing some video overlay of some of the commercials and stuff you guys have, because I know it's coming out in the future. But can you kind of describe the new box and what's different with it, and for the audience a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, we care about quality. So everything we do has got to meet high standards of quality. The TXTs, the unit you have there is very solid. It's a tank, and as you said, it works on everything. But the unit has been around since years and years now, and there's really no need to replace it. But things evolve and change. So TEXA came up with a new VCI, which is called NAVIGATOR MULTIHUB, which is basically the evolution of the TXTs. So it's a little bit smaller, it's lighter, it's hard plastic, but it's still IP certified. And it works with all of the vehicles you mentioned. So one of the main characteristics is there's a small display on top of the unit that gives you some information about the diagnostic session you are running, so the status of your connectivity, if you're working with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It gives you information on the battery charge, so the voltage of the battery, which is always useful when you run diagnostics, right? So you don't want to go below a certain voltage. As I mentioned, it works on Wi-Fi, so it's not only Bluetooth or hardwire, but it's also Wi-Fi, which is faster than Bluetooth. So that's another thing to mention. And also, it's going to be also RP1210, and I am pretty sure that you're going to appreciate that future, because you have been asking for that since like forever, from the very beginning. So it's going to be RP1210 as well.
Yeah, so when he's talking about RP1210 here, just for the audience, what that means is there's like a standard, at least here in the United States, where all the software manufacturers, OEM software, and most of the aftermarket people have said, let's make our device RP1210 compliant. And this is coming out of TMC. And what that really means then is I should be able to use OEM software with any adapter that's RP10 compliant. So that's been kind of one of the knocks on the TEXA software and the hardware in the past. It's like, oh, it's not RP10 compliant. And then if I have OEM software, now I got to have two different adapters. So you guys are definitely solving that problem. I was giving Dario a hard time before we aired this thing. I'm like, man, I was asking for that thing 6 years ago when I got involved with you guys. So I'm glad. Maybe I don't know if they probably listened to me or not, but I'm glad to see they did it. So that's great. And then I can tell you too, the other problem you really solved is a one that people don't realize. It's, we get hundreds of calls on, oh, my software won't connect to my vehicle. And one of the first checks is, okay, do you have power on your adapter? And you guys have the LED lights on this. But then there's the, okay, do you have enough voltage? And, the guy's got to bust out a multimeter and try to figure it out or check battery voltage. And now to have it like just displayed right on the hardware itself that's connected to the diagnostic port is a huge time saver, and it eliminates one of those steps for everybody as well. So I'm really excited about it. And trust me, everyone listening, I promise you I'm going to push TEXA to have some type of upgrade package or some type of promotion or something so they can get their hardware swapped out. And I'm sure TEXA's going to want to get it out here. And like they said, it doesn't sound like anyone's in a huge hurry to get it over here. And I can only imagine, we read all the headlines, logistics, air freight, these things come imported overseas. You got to deal with, I was just seeing an article the other day how like air freight's like 4 times as expensive as it was 6 months ago. Ocean freight's just ridiculous as well. And all these things going on in supply chain stuff. So I know you guys got your hands full with all that stuff. So we'll keep being patient, but I'm really excited to get that coming across. And then the other one I want to talk about is eTRUCK. So again, I'll throw it back to you, Dario, if you don't mind just explaining to them like what is eTRUCK and how does it work?
So eTRUCK is an extension of IDC5, our diagnostic software. So eTRUCK is a 16-pin compact dongle that you leave connected to the track. So the dongle talks to the track, to the ECU, and at the same time talks to the driver's cell phone via Bluetooth, and it transmits data to the cell phone and then to the shop, which is of course in a different location. So thanks to this, let's call it bridge, the workshop is going to be able to remote in through the cell phone and through eTRUCK and basically perform diagnostics remotely. So eTRUCK was developed mainly to solve emission-related issues, which are the hot topic of the trucking industry. So the eTRUCK was developed to reduce downtime, basically. So whenever the truck goes into derate, it's stuck on the highway. The shop is going to be able to remote in and force regen remotely. So there's no need to send someone over there. There's no need to wait on the side of the highway. There's no need to tow the truck, which is, it's crazy because it's going to make you lose a lot of time and a lot of money. So thanks to eTRUCK, they can remote in, force regen, and get it going. So the main objective of eTRUCK is reduced downtime. And we know that time is money, and a truck that is not running is a truck that is not making money. So it's an innovative product. It's doing really well. And last year we also decided to make it work also on off-highway vehicles. So the logic behind it is exactly the same. An excavator, a tractor that is not running, is a tractor that is not making money for the fleet owner, for the owner of the vehicle, for the operator, right? So it works exactly the same way. The shop is going to be able to remote in and see parameters, see codes, clear codes, and perform some of the diagnostic functions. So mainly DPF related capabilities, and also when we talk about trucks, also speed limiters, which is a big deal, especially when you go from one state to the other, or from the US to Canada. You may wanna adapt the speed limiters, either increase the speed, or decrease the speed. So eTRUCK is a very cool product. When they told me everything about it, I was shocked, and I was pleased to know all of those things, because I think it is great. It's a great product.
So I'm holding one in my hand here, and again, the video audience can obviously see it, but it's a really small thing. If you've ever seen the shape of the kind of the trapezoid shape of an OBD2 port on an automotive, it's about that wide and tall, and it's about twice as long tall, so maybe an inch tall or so. But it's a very small, light little thing, and I've seen it in action. So we at Diesel Laptops, we own trucks here. We do testing on them. You buy the different converter to go from OBD2 to 9-pin or 6-pin, or even Volvo and Mac use OBD2, obviously. But it's really cool to be able to actually be 1,000 miles away or 2,000 miles away and go force a regen on a truck that's broke down the side of the road and get it out of derate is quite a feat. And it's not like these dongles are super expensive and there's no monthly fees associated with them or anything like that. But the question I got for Dario, I know you said now they're available in the off-highway applications as well. There's like 50 different connectors for the off-highway world. How many did you guys do? All of them, or just the common ones, or where did you guys land on the different connectors for the off-highway stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Something that I forgot to mention is that, of course, in the off-highway world, every maker's got his own adapter, right? So everything is proprietary. So we focused on the main makes, and we have a few adapters. So we have the Cat9 pin adapter, FPT adapters for stationary engines. We got Deutz, Yanmar, and of course the standard 9-pin adapter for everything that is OBD Deutsch. So Cummins, Case New Holland, John Deere, those things.
Yeah. I mean, the 9-pin, the ones you rattled off are the most common ones out there, and trust us, Texas got the history on what are the most popular things that are being hooked up to, and all those things. Which kind of brings me to kind of another thing here to talk about is on the software side, we kind of glanced over it a little bit, but when I first started selling TEXA products about 6 years ago, it was mainly truck. And then we kind of picked up off-highway stuff there as well. And truthfully, off-highway is like half our sales now are off-highway licenses. It's very good stuff. And then when I first looked at car, it was kind of only supercars, and it was like Maseratis and Lamborghinis and a lot of Italian cars. It seemed like in there, but that's not really the case today anymore with TEXA with the IDC5 car. Can you kind of talk about coverage on the automotive side and how you guys split up that license a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So it's exactly like you said. Until a few years ago, TEXA was considered to be, and we were pretty upfront with customers and dealers. TEXA was a niche product for specific shops. So shops working on European makes, high-end cars, like you said, Ferrari, Lamborghinis, or Mercedes, fancy stuff. So basically, we didn't have the coverage for all of the local makes, the domestic makes, and the Asian cars. And we were totally upfront with customers. So if you're looking on coverage on a Mercedes, then TEXA is an option. If you're looking to scan a Chevy, then probably you have better options with someone else, with some other company. So in the last 2 years, we worked really hard, and it was a lot of work. But we filled that gap. So now TEXA is also an option when it comes to domestic and Asian makes. It took a while. It took 18 months of work. A lot of engineers doing back and forth from Italy. We also increased the team here at TEXA USA. But I'm happy to say that now TEXA is an option when it comes also to those cars. Which is also a good thing for guys like yourself, because a lot of diesel shops, they also work on cars. Obviously, if we think about fleets or also municipalities, they have a huge variety of different vehicles. They have heavy duty trucks, they have off-highway stuff like excavators, loaders, skid steers, but they also have cars. So they have pickup trucks with gas engines. They can have regular passenger cars. So now they can also add coverage on their existing TEXA unit. They can add coverage also on cars, which makes us, it's a huge advantage for us, because with one unit you can do different things. Like you said earlier, the TXTs, or let's say IDC5 in general. IDC5 is the TEXA software, right? So IDC5 can cover, if it has an ECU, we can scan it, right? Which is great. Also, those guys, municipalities, they can also have UTVs, ATVs, side-by-sides, John Deere Gators, Polaris quads. We can also do those things. So we also created a bike off-road software. So a smaller version of our bike software that includes only Polaris, BRP, Can-Am, John Deere, and those vehicles. So that's an additional add-on. That's an additional software that our existing diesel customers can purchase.
Yeah, so I remember when you guys first came out with the TEXA car software, essentially, people are like, okay, how good is it? Because we'd been selling something else. And I'm like, look, guys, if they can hook up to every truck, every piece of commercial equipment out there, boats, jet skis, all these power sports, motorcycles, and they can hook up to high-end automotive, I'm pretty sure they can figure out how to hook up to a Toyota Camry and do the diagnostic commands. So it's very good stuff. We have a team here that goes through and tests all these things and does these things. It's been very great. And I think there's an important piece that I kind of missed as we've been talking here, because I kind of get ahead of myself, is the renewal model that you guys have, and it's very unique because it's a lot different than a lot of other competitors have gone, right? So I guess the question for you, Dario, is if I buy a full-blown truck and off-highway kit and I throw some automotive in there, what happens after a year when I just purchased that package of all this diagnostic software? Did I lose everything, and am I required to buy a renewal from you guys?
No, absolutely not. So our policy is, of course, almost every diagnostic company gives you the first year for free, first year of updates for free. So when the first year is over, some companies, they basically shut off the software. So we don't believe in that. We think that the customer, the technician, has already spent thousands of dollars into that diagnostic tool. So forcing them to buy a renewal after 1 year is just not right. It's unfair. So we prefer to let the subscription expire. You're going to keep all of the capabilities you have with your software, so everything is going to stay there. You won't be able to update the software. You won't see the latest software developments, but you're going to keep everything as is forever. And then if you want to see new stuff, you can get the updates. There are no skip fees. There are no penalties. If you missed updates, you just go to the most current software version. So in a way, we believe that we got to earn their business. We don't want to force them into buying updates. We want to earn their business. And I believe that if you deliver a solid software, if you deliver a good software, then the updates are going to come. You don't have to force anyone into updates if you're doing a good job. Of course, it's just a different way of seeing things. Making updates mandatory is also a good way to have a constant flow of money, which makes sense because it's not cheap to develop software. So I get that it would be nice to have like 100% renewals and make them mandatory and get 100% of those renewals. But we just believe that if the software is good, they're going to buy the updates either way.
Yeah, as a business owner, I love the fact if I could go to a customer and say, oh, you need to buy this for a lot of money, and you got to keep paying me every year forever, otherwise it stops working, right? But the consumer side of me is like, man, I hate that model, right? I know as a buyer, I hate that model, and I will avoid it like the plague. So that's what I really loved about you guys, and it's been this way as long as I've known TEXA, and that's been the great thing with working with TEXA. It really lined up with us. Like, look, you bought this tool, you don't like it, don't buy the renewals, don't buy the support, and if you choose to later do that, just buy it then. There's no, like you said, no skip fees, no late fees, none of that. So for us, if you're listening to this and you're on the edge about buying a TEXA, I know this isn't a TEXA thing as much as a Diesel Laptops thing, but we do 30-day money back guarantees. You don't have all these required annual fees. It's just a great one box, one piece of software platform. And 5 years ago when I first stumbled across this, I didn't believe it. I remember reading a magazine at a trade show. I'd never heard of TEXA, and it's like, oh, it works on all these things and does all this stuff and no requirement. I'm like, no way. There's nobody doing that. And then I actually bought one to try out, and I'm like, son of a gun, it actually does. And your product is it's amazing how far it's come since then. And you guys do a tremendous job. And like you said, you wouldn't be able to afford to keep buying and spending the money on the engineering staff and the tools you need to keep doing those things if people weren't buying the renewals from you guys. So I love the mentality of let's go earn that business every year. But then I want to flip gears to kind of one last subject, and it's one that even TEXA customers that they're listening about probably don't know too much about, and there's kind of some future things coming here. So with that, I'm going to kind of just have you talk about my TEXA a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the MyTEXA is an online portal that is going to show customers additional information about their own diagnostic sessions. So, you know, things evolve and things change, and also the customers needs evolve. So at the very beginning, it was enough to see codes, right? See and clear codes. And then some companies, they just went a little bit over that and they added functionalities. So forcing regen, coding injectors, and then everyone got to that, right? So you always have to offer something more. So then we did the wiring diagrams, the interactive wiring diagrams. We did the dashboards for the live data pits. We did also the dashboards for the bidirectionals. The dashboard for so a graphical representation of the global scan. Now we are working on other ways to add functionalities and capabilities to the software. The customer wants to have everything in one tool, and the more it does, the better. So if the scan tool could make coffee, that would be awesome, right? Best scan tool ever. So now we are working on this MyTEXA portal. So information is a big deal, right? So we have a lot of information from our customers. So we are able to pull APIs from the diagnostic session and basically work on those data. So we can come up with useful statistics for customers. So in this portal, in the MyTEXA portal, the customers are going to be able to check on all of the diagnostic session they ran. They will be able to see statistics about the diagnostic session. So by make, by model, how many times that specific code popped up, and they're going to be able to get some kind of information out of it, which is very important also for especially for fleet owners. So if you own a fleet, you want to know which vehicles gave you issues, right? So with the MyTEXA portal, you're going to be able to see that specific make created more issues than the other makes. So the next time you're going to buy new vehicles, you're going to renew your fleet, you're going to keep that in mind. So MyTEXA processes all of the diagnostic information and gives you statistics and reports and graphs about everything you did in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 1 year.
Well, I'm excited to see that. I've actually seen some of those things behind the scenes with some certain client that we're working with. But you're absolutely right. I love how you guys keep innovating and innovating and innovating and giving more and giving more and giving more and making a better product. And I think the market responds and sales keep going the way they're going. So things are great out there. And I always tell people, man, like you buy a TEXA tool, it's really the last tool you're ever going to buy. You don't need to buy. This isn't like you bought it and it's going to be gone in 2 or 3 years. You're going to be happy. It's going to last you a long time. So great to see everything. So I know we talked about MyTEXA. We talked about the car coming out, or that's already out. We talked about the new TXT box that's on the horizon. We talked about eTRUCK for trucking off highway. Did we miss anything? I think we got it all, but maybe I missed it.
No, we talked about many different things. ADAS is another topic. It's a reality on the automotive side, and now it's also getting into the trucking industry. So it's not that common to have ADAS systems on trucks, but I think it's going to be there at some point. And of course, we are keeping an eye on it. We have a unit which is ready. We did some business. Demand is really is very limited. We are at the very early stages, but that's another thing that is gonna be huge, I think. Also, electric vehicles, that's another hot topic in the car industry, in the automotive sector, but also for trucks, also off highway, right? So we're keeping an eye on that. We have a project with an OE. They're working on electric vehicles, and we are developing the software for them. So many different things going on, and we're busy, and busy is good. The opposite would be a problem. But yeah, no complaints.
It's a lot. The stuff you're talking about is a lot of similar stuff we get here. Like, aren't you guys worried about robots driving trucks? Like, no, more sensors, more electrical, all more diagnostics, all good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Electric's this whole nother world. People are going to need diagnostic tools, new diagnostic tools to do those things, and training for safety and more repair information and all that stuff as well. And you look at the ADAS, which is for people listen to this, it's the advanced driver assist systems, right? So lane guidance and all the safety things and braking and adaptive cruise and all that kind of stuff. And Dario is absolutely right. That stuff it's in automotive. It's in every new car that you see around the road. It's now become standard on a couple models of Volvos and Freightliner trucks, and it's becoming more and more popular. And guess what all the data is showing? It's saving lives and there's less accidents. And as that data keeps coming out, fleets and the government's going to keep pushing forward as well. So it's all the reality of the situation that's happening here. So, with all that, Dario, man, glad to get you back in the United States. Now it seems like we're all traveling around here in the United States. Trade shows are opening up. I hope I run into you at a trade show here pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Or we can visit. Let's meet. Let's talk face to face. We really need that kind of interaction. Finally.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on the show. And Dario, if people want to reach out to you directly, what's the best way to do that?
Me directly, I would say LinkedIn. If they want to talk to TEXA in general, social media, TEXAUSA.com. Social media means Facebook. We are very active. Instagram, LinkedIn as well, or they can just call the office.
Awesome. Well, very good to talk to you again, Dario. Thank you for much coming on the show. And, as we always end it, it's not just diagnostics, it's diagnostics done right. And TEXA definitely has that covered across almost every brand you can think of with an ECU on it. So with that said, we'll call it a show. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time.